This is the new facelifted Audi Q8 and I am in one of the planet's most stunning locations to test it. In its V6 petrol and diesel and V8 SQ8 avatars. Though the disclaimer up front, Audi says only the petrol V6 of this trio will make it to our shores. The southern tip of the African continent. It never fails when it comes to beautiful blue skies, gorgeous setting, excellent countryside, lots of wind, and it is apt for a car like this, which is also gorgeous. The Q8 has always been the sort of benchmark trendsetter when it comes to Q design language from Audi. It is the flagship for the Q range, and it's the car that's also topping sales for the Q family worldwide. So when it has its mid-cycle facelift, we got to pay attention. We want to take you through some of those changes right now, and I can tell you that the roads in this area also promise for a really nice sporty drive. So the overall silhouette of the car is still recognizable. In fact, intentionally so, because it's part of the reason the car has been so popular. The coupe roofline and the overall gorgeous looks are maintained, but while the proportion hasn't changed, certain design details certainly have. You get these new colors, including the Sakir gold that you see here, which is the sort of communication color as well that you'll see on this car. New digital LED lighting up front, that's new. The DRL signature pattern is new as well, as is the new single frame Audi grille. Now, the SQ8 models, that grille becomes a metal finish, aluminium, but the all black look really complements the sporty nature of the car. New front and rear bumpers as well, and of course the alloy patterns. This one again has the black to complement that look in the front. The LED treatment continues onto the back. That's pretty much part of what you'd expect from Audi. New OLED rear lighting, which also has new animation. And the rear, which was always its sexy end, remains the best angle to view this car from. The thing I've always liked about the Q8 is just how it kind of sits squat at the back. You really see that being pronounced, and yet it's kind of subtle. I mean, the muscle isn't exaggerated, but you see these haunches on the two sides. The car really looks hunkered down, and that's partly true in terms of how it performs on the road. The new Q8 badging, well, it's not new anymore. We saw this lettering appearing on this family a little while ago. The black lettering, the new font, and then I mentioned the OLED taillights. Well, lots of animation patterns there. We'll talk about that in a second. Something the designers were especially proud of, and I found that interesting that they spoke this in their presentation to us earlier, was the tailpipes. You got twin tailpipes, and they're functional. They're real twin tailpipes. They made a point of that because so many manufacturers today are doing 4 twin pipes. These are real. The OLEDs are definitely a talking point because, by the way, they also serve a dual purpose. The advantage of using OLED technology, well, one, you get to show off the kind of prowess you have as a brand, but the second is that while it gives you the chance to animate different patterns, it also allows you to use a few interesting safety-related tricks in traffic. For example, the car standing like this at a red light, when another car approaches it and it keeps coming closer, well, the lights become even brighter. So it's stuff like that as well, and not just stuff that's aesthetically pleasing. But I have to say, the different light patterns, that's the fun stuff. Let me run you through it. There are 4 different patterns, and these will animate differently depending on the one you want to choose in the settings. And what's changed inside? Let's take a look. The virtual cluster, the head-up display, ADAS, a lot of that functionality, of course, has been carried over, and it's pretty much par for course when it comes to the flagship model. These are good things to have. They've also been very well done on the Q8. There are a few trim changes as far as layout is concerned, but the cabin otherwise, for the most part, in terms of tech, design and overall space, remains unchanged. So yeah, not a lot has changed. It was already so good that no one wanted us to change much, kind of thing. Maybe. It's one of those quirky times when we are driving in a right-hand drive market, which would have been very comfortable for me, but with a left-hand drive car. But of course, we've done stranger things, so really not a challenge or a worry, just quirky. I'm heading now towards the Cape of Good Hope, famous point in the world, and I can tell you that the roads have been a mixed bag. Some of them really nice and smooth, some a little bit broken or a little uneven, and that's nice because you get a good sense of how the car performs. Now, the car I have with me right now has the air suspension. This is not standard on the Q8, it is standard on the SQ8. We ain't getting that one. On the India spec, which is still far from being decided, we're still not sure if we'll have that as standard or optional, but it will be available to the customer one way or the other. That's a good thing because the air suspension on this car is kind of like a bit of a signature, if you will. Now, I say that because the adaptive suspension gives you a certain prowess on this car. And it's not just in terms of ride quality or comfort, it's also in terms of how the car handles on the road. The Q8 has a good reputation of being that sporty, self-driven car. It's the one that the enthusiasts will buy when they feel like they have to get an SUV, but they still want that little bit of exhilaration and dynamic performance. Luckily, the car has maintained all of those characteristics, and not a whole lot has changed when it comes to those aspects of the car in any case with the facelift. The steering is a bit soft in comfort, but gets better. No, make that much better in dynamic. There's a bunch of different drivetrain options globally, but sadly we don't get the TDI. The diesels are gone from India, gone for good, sadly. But while that is available on the range in other markets, the car I'm driving right now is the one destined for us. It's the V6 petrol. It has the mild hybrid as standard, and that's of course a carryover, like I said, from the previous pre-facelift car as well. So while it may not be quite the SQ8 or even the RSQ8, of course, it's still plenty good when it comes to overall dynamics. It gives you a fair amount of power. It gives you really nice handling, and the steering, spot on. Put the car in dynamic and put the gearbox in sport. The car will go exactly where you want it to. It really hugs corners. Oh yeah, now I'm having fun. Now, even though the diesel V6 and petrol V8 of the SQ8 aren't coming to India, as I said, I did manage to sneak into both the cars and take them both for a spin. You know me, I like to be thorough. The SQ8 is definitely more sporty and the engine sounds great. It's quick off the Mark II, has big wheels, and it's got 500 bhp to offer. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, done in just 4.1 seconds. It sounds just absolutely fantastic. There's an exhaust flap on each tailpipe that modulates the sound depending on load and rev speed. So, the heavier your foot, the more ferocious it gets. I drove the V6 diesel too. There's 282 bhp up for grabs. It's excellent in terms of response really, and the 600 Nm of torque available from as low as 1750 RPM makes this a dream. Very refined too. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour might not be done at a blistering time, but 6.1 seconds for a huge SUV like this, still not bad at all. The Q8 facelift arrives in India in the second half of 2024. Given that the Q8 was always one of the key drivers of sales in the country for Audi this year, Audi India will bank big on the facelift. More allocation then? Maybe, but I really wish it had more to offer, or at least some big bang innovation that Audi could boast and lord over the others.